Hey guys, welcome to the show. We got a really great topic today. It kind of came up last minute, but we're talking about the clown prince of crime. Isn't that right, Rumi?
Yeah, this is like a last minute topic. I shot him this morning. I meant to shoot it to you last night, although that still is pretty last minute for us for a specific topic idea. But I was reading a underwhelming comic, and I was like, why do I not like this? And I was like, oh, because it's underwhelming. There's nothing to it. Um, so I was like, oh, what do I want to read instead? And I was like, forget about reading. I want to talk about this. Who can I talk about this with? But my lifetime roomie and my cadets, my Rocketeer listener audience.
Yeah, man. Before we start talking about the Joker, though, you know what to do. Hit like and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. Share us on social media. If you thought this was funny, tweets about it, X about it, Instagram about it, Blue Sky about it. What do we call it anymore? Everything's changed in the past 2 years. I don't even know how social media
I'm
works
having a
anymore.
lot of trouble keeping up with the beep boops, and you know me, I'm not great with it to begin with, but I've been trying, and
I was a terrible beep booper before. Now I'm the worst of the beep boopers. It's like I got old, but like I don't think I just like time, just
in a
everything
year, right?
changed.
Like
Yeah,
within a couple hundred days, you suddenly became old and outdated.
it was amazing how fast it happened. It was like an avalanche hit me, and I was like, "Oh, where's my Depends?" Um,
But even those were like digital, so you couldn't figure them out.
beep, boop, beep, boop. Yeah, I couldn't get it to connect to the Wi-Fi, so it would tell me when I shat my pants. The Internet of
Uh,
Things. Anyway, we're on all the things at Launchpad Pod and our website, launchpadpod.com, and on YouTube where you can see us. We're going to have visual aids today. We're going to do good radio because we're professionals who've been doing this for a long time, and we'll put it up. But we will have some visual aids on the YouTube, so check that out. Until then, let's just play the intro and get on with it.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
All right, welcome to the Launchpad Podcast. I'm Aaron.
I'm Matt.
That's a horrifying Joker laugh, Matt.
Not bad, right? Not
Yeah,
bad.
pretty good. Um, it scared me.
We don't script this, kids. So
We're
Kent
talking
and
about
I, Kent
the
and I will do
Joker.
something. I have a character called the Tickler, where like I'll sneak up on him and it's the Tickler, and the Tickler has a very Joker esque cackle.
Yeah, I can. It's a very like not going to get sued by Warner Brothers version of the
Yeah,
Joker.
yeah, yeah.
Content clear. There's yeah. We're just gonna do Joker laughs for the next hour and a half, and you
We're
guys
gonna
rate them.
attempt to do Joker laughs.
Arguably one of the greatest villains of all time. If not like on the Mount Rushmore for sure, right? Like
Yeah, I would say that's a safe way to put it. Is I mean, t- I mean, the word best is so subjective, right? But I mean, talk about iconic. Talk about name recognition. Talk about standing the test of time with, as I think we'll discuss tonight, really not that much. Like there's not much, but also I guess a ton to him. But
it's funny because for how what a great character he is, he actually makes Batman look terrible. Because in all the years of his existence, he doesn't have superpowers. He's not particularly good at his job. Batman beats him every time. But Batman cannot keep this guy down who
mm,
has no superpowers. Batman's taken out Clay Faces and Killer Crocs, but the Joker just keeps walking all over him. Kind of makes me wonder, like, how good is Batman actually? People are like, oh, how much prep time he has. Joker doesn't need prep time. Joker has a flower and a fish, and he's good to go.
it's
Yeah.
so Kent and I and Amanda went to the library the other day, like the local library, which we don't do often. And we looked in the kids section and we looked in the graphic novel section. And Kent and I are flipping through. We grabbed a Godzilla book, and I saw a volume that I had almost bought on Kindle called Joker Year Zero, I think it's called.
Because
Uh,
we have Batman Year One, Batman Year Zero, Batman.
and
whatever.
there's been a bunch. This Batman Year Two is so good. But it's a book. It's got the cover is Joker with the Red Hood helmet on, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting, and it's written by Chip Zdarsky, who I love lately. He's like my hot. It's Joker Year One.
Yeah.
Chip Zdarsky wrote a bunch of Batman stuff recently that I did like, and he wrote a bunch of really good Daredevil stuff. I think if you guys, Rumi knows for sure, and if you guys have listened for a while, Daredevil's my number one, number two superhero. So I've read a ton, and I'm pretty close to being current. And a lot of the newer stuff was not terrible, but it wasn't really my cup of tea. The Chip Zdarsky stuff I loved, and then I started branching out, and I'm just, when you find someone that you love, whether it's an actor or a director or an artist, and then you start eating their content up, that's where I'm at with Chip Zdarsky. So I see this book in the library that looks like a cool Joker story. It's got a neat cover, and I'm like, oh, okay, let me check this out. And I'm like halfway through it yesterday, and I'm like, I'm bored. And I like Chip Zdarsky, and it wasn't terrible. But first of all, the first part of the book doesn't even have to do with the Joker, really. It has to do with Batman and split personalities and stuff. But then when I get to the Joker stuff, I'm like, it's okay. And if I was more current with Joker and Batman reading, which I'm definitely not, I'd understand more. Lately, there's been 3 different Jokers happening at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
There's been multiple Joker personalities and all this other stuff. And it gets to the point where I'm like, when you're halfway through a movie and you're like, why am I watching this? And you're like, well, because I got to finish it. And then you ask yourself, okay, but why? You have a stack of movies over there. You have 6 watch lists saved across 6 different streaming services of movies you want to watch, and you already know you don't like this one. Why would you finish the last hour? So I said that to myself.
Because we're perfectionists. And
I mean, for sure, it is.
Yep.
But I put this down, and I was like, you know what? I haven't heard buzz about this. Nobody's told me I need to catch up this book. I need to put this down and walk away and read something better that I want to, or at least more interesting that I want to read. So I put it down, but it stuck with me. And I was like, yeah, why wasn't that good? And I was like, well, it's not bad, but it's just another story trying to put their fingerprint, another creative group trying to make the Joker different and better and more lasting than he was before. And that's only happened twice, 3 times maybe.
Well, we're going to talk about that. How many times there's seminal moments in the Joker's history of that before him and after him, here's what we got. And it's in the comic books and in different variations. I can tell you already, just by looking at single images and frames, here's something that's going on. The whole time you're reading this, the end is he becomes the Joker. Who is arguably a much better character. So no matter what you're reading here is not as interesting or even proposed as interesting. It's like, here's him when he was boring, but he becomes a very interesting character. Do you want to know how he got interesting? How this guy got his mojo? And you're like, yeah. And then they start telling you, and you're like, oh, I guess I never need to see where villains come from. This is a lesson that you and I have said time and time again. You never need to find out where the villains come from. We didn't need to with Darth Vader. We didn't need to with Jason. We didn't need to with Michael Myers. You don't need to know where the Joker came from. That's kind of why he's great. Some villains are interesting how they became the villain. Mr. Freeze is kind of interesting how he became the villain. But I don't need to follow Mr. Freeze around when he's just like cryogenic frozen scientist guy. That's not interesting. It's only interesting like, oh, I got this wife back in a popsicle, and you're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. He's like, yeah, that's all you need to know. There's a crux. So you're just reading this to find out what his day-to-day schedule was like, what criminal activities he was up to. But now I'm looking at these frames. He's not even cool looking when he's the Red Hood, because the hood doesn't even cover his head. It's like down to his like mouth,
Yeah,
over
his
his
Joker
nose.
chin is still sticking
Yeah,
out.
he looks like a bad lipstick cover. Like he doesn't know how to wear this lipstick
See,
costume correctly.
I love this because this really, there have been times where you and I are like the same brain. And there's
Yeah.
been times where you and I are a universe apart on something like this, right? But I
Mhm.
really do love talking with you, maybe above anybody else, about any topic because of how you see things the same as me, but also how you see things different. Even if I can't understand where you're coming from, I really do find the shit you say fascinating.
That's why we're roomies, roomie. That's why we
Roomies
have
for
a
life.
podcast. Roomies
Haven't
for
lived
life.
together for 20 years. I love the idea that you're reading a story about the Joker, and no matter what you read, it's not going to be as good as what that character becomes. And that's interesting thought. But then you brought up Mr. Freeze, and he's a great example. His origin is fantastic. But you're right. You don't need to read a story about his past. I think I love the Punisher, and they do that a lot where they're like, here's a story of him in war before Punisher. And they are interesting if done well. But I get what you're saying, that like there's no way that the means are going to catch up to the ends in these situations.
Always. Punisher Born is a great example. In Vietnam, Punisher still shot a lot of people. He
Right.
kind of did the same thing, and you're like, "Oh, war's traumatic." That's where the Punisher comes from. That makes sense. But the Joker was a shitty criminal by all accounts in every one of his origin stories. He sucked at being a guy, and then got thrown in a vat of junk, and like,
Well, that's where I'd split
okay.
the hair with you is if you name it, take Joker, whoever Joker was before he was the Joker, take Frank Castle, take Victor Freeze. If you're going to tell me a story before they became the larger than life characters and personas that they become, I'm okay with that. And I'm okay if you're going to tell me a story about the Joker before he's the Joker. And pretty much there's no way you're going to be hitting like Killing Joke level of storytelling or character. I'm okay with that. But you still got to
Yeah.
make the story good.
Well,
The problem that I have
we'll
is
get
with
into it with the movie Joker. Is
well, 'cause-
another one. We'll get into that
But
in a
here's the
second,
thing,
yeah.
and I guess the segue towards that is just if you want to tell me stories about Frank Castle, that's okay because we know when you look at the Punisher, you know what his past, in my opinion, you know what his past is. Any
Yep.
hero or villain or human in our universe that's reading his stories knows his past. Same with the Hulk, same with Mr. Freeze, same with even Wolverine to a certain degree, but he falls more into this Joker category for me, where it's like the fact that we don't know makes him better. And specifically in the Joker, the way that I always talk about it with my 6-year-old son Kent is Batman wins because he's smart. Forget prep time. He wins because he's smart. He figures out you, he figures out your weakness, and he figures out where you live. And once he can do that, he can beat you. Even if you are stronger, even if you are more capable in this area or that area, he also has the determination, etc., etc. The Joker is an unknown. He is a literal, figurative wild card. And I like the idea that you don't know if the Joker is, in many stories, is the Joker goofing around or is he a homicidal maniac? Is
Yeah.
he out for money or is he out for revenge? To me, the way that I think of Batman, Batman is cold, clinical, he's steel. He is when he finds out who you are, he's going to find out why you're committing these crimes, whatever they are. He's going to see where you live, what you're afraid of, how to beat you. How do you do that with a blank slate, a permanently blank slate? He doesn't know who the Joker is. He doesn't know who the Joker's backstory is. He doesn't know what the Joker is afraid of. That, like, how can Batman beat him? It's what you said. Joker theoretically isn't a genius. He is not Olympian level physicality. So why does Batman keep losing to him? Because Batman cannot put him in a box, figuratively or literally, right? You know what Victor Freeze's deal is. Every single time it's going to be related to his overall goal, his overall purpose. You have a humanity with Victor Freeze where even if he only loves his Nora, you know that he has a human bond there. You can work with that. The Joker should be a complete mystery to Batman, and that alone should drive Batman insane. Let
Yeah.
alone the fact that Batman knows that and knows that Joker is hurting and killing and robbing and whatever people, and Batman is almost helpless at times to stop him. That's my problem with movies like Joker
Yeah.
and backstories, because if you are friggin' whatever that guy's name is, failed comedian who has a laughing condition, Batman has you. He knows where you live. He knows you had this fake girlfriend that you thought was real. He knows that you killed your mom in the hospital. Batman will figure that shit out, and then he's not afraid of you anymore. And I love the idea that the darkest man in Gotham is still afraid of the Joker. You know what I mean? Like, to me. And I think the mystery and the ambiguity of Joker's past and motivations, and like, is Joker crazy or is he a genius that is pretending and has adopted a persona? I love that you don't know.
It always comes down to the version that you come across, because like the early versions, he really is just a comedian. Like, he's a goofball. It's like
Right.
all his stuff is very silly. The Sid Caesar of it all is and the early goofiness. It's not until in the 70s when they bring back the Joker from like a 6-year hiatus in the comic books, and they start being like, maybe we can get dark with this. And then by the time we get to 88, and he starts killing Robin and paralyzing Batgirl, all in the same year. I didn't know Killing Joke and Death in the Family were the same year. That's insane.
1988.
Yeah, what a dark ass year for Batman.
It wasn't a good year for Bat Children.
I know, right? Woof. But yeah, I mean, you start out with very goofy, and then it's like when we get to the first time we see a movie version of it, he's dark. The Jack Nicholson one set a tone.
Yeah, I agree.
And as you can see, the early comic book, the Sid Caesar version of it, the early cartoon ones, and him in the early comic books were very clownish, literally clowns. He did goofy things. He had squirting flowers. He had silly fish, laughing gas. It was all based on the gag. He did it for the LOLs. By the time you get to Joker, because of the comic book being so dark, when you get to Tim Burton's Batman, that was gnarly, man. And I've always been a fan of the Jack Nicholson Joker. I think it's one of his best performances, because I think later Jack Nicholson became very much Jack Nicholson doing a Jack Nicholson impression.
Like a character of himself. Yeah, Jack Nicholson, a mirror.
And the Joker is one of the few times where I get lost in him being the Joker. It's awesome.
See, it's funny because I always loved that movie. I loved it as a kid. I was never a big comic book or specifically Batman kid. So when the movie came out, I loved it. I had the toys, but no specific affinity for it. Like, I was a Star Wars kid through and through. And not that I didn't like Batman or didn't like Joker. I love that movie. It was fun. Never thought about it. Never watched it, intently. Never really had any part of me, heart or anything hanging on that film. But revisiting it as an adult, especially one that loves comics and loves Batman and now loves Batman and the Joker, holy shit, like, he does an amazing job, because, and I guess a lot of credit goes to Tim Burton and the movie itself. It's perfect in tone and perfect in action and plot and motivation for that world that they're building. Because, like, I can show Kent that movie, and he likes it. He enjoys it. He gets it. But also, like, you and I, Aaron, when you and I watch movies, we're like, oh, that guy died. Joker blows up a building, and the cartoon doesn't show body parts raining down, but we're like, no, people blew up in that building. And this movie is very much that, where Joker flat out kills people, and he also does stuff where you're like, that fucked up that guy. Like, that guy's in a wheelchair now for life.
For life.
And there's a lot, and Jack Nicholson is very Jack Nicholsonian in this, but he also is goddamn chilling. Like, he is scary in this, and the makeup is phenomenal for a live action version, a completely believable live action version for this type of Joker, right?
The 1989 Batman, I think it got a lot of credit, but I think you can go back and be like, man, they nailed it. They nailed it. They nailed the tone of what the comics were doing in the 80s. And it's like, the comics, you got to give them a lot of credit too, because they got really dark, really mature. And for this movie to match that energy in a time where nobody was matching that energy. Like those were way out there. You know, to have Batman, Joker kill Robin, paralyze
Yeah.
and do some gnarly stuff to Batgirl, like yikes. And
Yeah.
then to have this
Yeah.
movie match that energy with that darkness, maybe not to that level of like violence or intensity, but to match it in the tone and darkness is like, you know, and that set the paradigm for what comic book movies were trying to be and what the Batman universe was. Because the very in the next couple of years, 19 when did the animated series come out?
Let's say it
In the
was
90s.
91, 92.
Um, when that comes out, obviously they're going to have the Joker, and we get Mark Hamill himself playing the Joker, and that is another immediately iconic version of this guy. So you go from back to back, like slam dunks on this character. That's impressive. That's hard to pull off when people like are trading off roles like that. I think the cartoon worked because it was animated. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
had done another live action version really quick, that might not have been as successful. But like, I mean, we have done episodes, multiple episodes about how much we love the cartoon Batman animated series.
That's got to be one of the best ones. And like I said, like, are there scarier versions of the Joker? Yes. Are there more violent? Yes. Are there more graphic? Yes. How many more better? I don't know. That one, the Joker's favor, where that guy cuts him off, and then Joker follows him and takes his driver's license, and later on abducts him kind of and uses him for a crime. That's some scary shit. Like I remember the Joker chasing this guy off the road and being like, "You cut me off," and he's like playing with him and just like a rat, a cat toying with a mouse. As a kid, you're like, the Joker could fuck this guy immediately, like he'd kill him right now. But instead, he takes his wallet and takes his driver's license and says, "I'll be seeing you in the future." Can you think of a scarier thing in comic book universe than the Joker having your driver's license?
Right.
Get the hell out of here.
He's 1992. You were right.
Yeah.
He's that's part of what his strength is. It's that he looks happy. What he says is terrifying. That
Mm-hmm.
unknown chaos that he brings. Um, all the iterations. Anytime Mark Hamill did this voice, like what an iconic thing. And then when we were kids, we didn't know it was Mark Hamill right away. I
No.
didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't until it was like a little bit later. And then it was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah,
I
that's
think my
Luke
dad read it and
Skywalker.
told me as the show was starting, but
Oh,
I don't know
cool.
that I believed him because it sounds so different. Like the Joker, and when you watch a Joker episode, Mark Hamill you often fills in and does like cop number 4 voice or hood number 2 voice, and that sounds like Mark Hamill. But the
Yeah.
Joker is not Luke Skywalker, right? Very, very different. And I gotta say, I told you I was reading this book the other day. Yesterday, I was reading this Joker Year One. I have all of the original Batman animated series voices in my head for all of those characters.
Cool,
Every
cool,
single
cool,
one.
cool, cool. Yeah.
Every single one. That's the voice in my head every time for every single character. And you can't not. And I think that is I guess it doesn't matter if you're talking about an actor's portrayal of the Joker, an artist's version, their visual of the Joker, or a writer how they craft it on the page. It's it's that performance of how it hits. Mark Hamill's Joker does not need to be violent to scare the piss out of you. You don't need to draw him covered in blood and with a bloody razor in his hand to be scary. He doesn't have to do that. And I guess number one, that's part baller character design, right?
That's the power of that cartoon show. It was so well written, stylistically so concise in that Art Deco 1920s look.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was so the characters were so well fleshed out that, like you said, like just the Joker smiling is terrifying enough. And like in a movie like Mask of the Phantasm, like the Joker's so good in that. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, when the Joker is not acted, when it's in a comic book or a cartoon, that Mark Hamill is what I hear. Like when
Yeah,
that's why I was
yeah.
so glad that he did most of the video games. because it was so cool to see that Joker and that version of the Joker moving realistically.
Sure.
Because
Yeah, yeah,
we've
yeah.
never seen Mark Hamill play the Joker in makeup.
Sure,
At
yeah.
least I haven't. But to hear him in things, and he's done it so many times that like we get a little bit of consistency out of it. But they tried to get weird with it later, like in what's the Batman Beyond? You get the super wacky one. Not a fan. That's the first time I'm like, nah.
So that guy, the one that you're
Yeah.
highlighting there, is called the Bat. I think it's called It's called the Batman Strikes,
Okay.
which I actually like it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I don't like that particular version of the Joker, but okay, it's a different universe.
Hmm.
Um, let me see
He's
if you
way
have
more cartoony. He's just way cartoony to me, which
Kent and I actually just watched the Batman Beyond Joker movie, Return of the Joker, and we watched the rare uncut PG-13 version where he kills two people.
whoa.
And it is like the killing two people doesn't necessarily make it more chilling. It's the way he goes about his plan and how he treats and talks to people. It's like I remember my sister walking into the room once. I think I was in college and I was watching the episode of the animated series called Mad Love, where Harley Quinn is being abused by the Joker. He berates her and knocks her out of a window.
Yeah.
And when she gets up, she debates going back to him and then doesn't. And then at the end of the episode, she can't get away from him. She doesn't want to get away from him, and she goes back to him in the end after he has abused and berated her again. And I remember when the Joker is beating down on her and kicks her out a window, my sister walked into the room and she was like, "Whoa." And I was like, "I know, right?" And she watched the rest of the episode with me and was like, "Wow, that was a lot." And you're like, "Holy yes, it was a lot." He destroyed this woman. Like, if think about Harley Quinn, what the Joker did to her, right? He
Yeah.
corrupted this woman who was trying to help him, theoretically was like a doctor and had her shit together. He broke her apart and put her back together into what he wanted, you know?
Yeah. He is a horribly abusive person. He's a psychopath. He is just the worst kind of manipulator. It's it we get so many different versions of this and different ideas of like mental illness, different ideas of like what a controlling psychopath is. Um and the Joker is an all-encompassing catch-all for that. But when you throw too much of him at this too much of the kitchen sink of crazy into his bucket, it can be too much. Like if he's too goofy, too crazy, there is a too much for the Joker. And I'm trying to think of like, well, I'll pull up a time when I know exactly when he was just too much, and it's the Jared Leto version. I actually don't mind this idea of the Joker because at least when you look at these, so many of the Jokers are either trying to be the Mark Hamill version or they're trying to be the Heath Ledger version.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Leto at least was like, I'm going to do something completely different. Hats off for the attempt, but he really did throw everything at the kitchen sink and tried to make him like a crazy club kid, which I don't know, not my favorite, but I have to give him credit for trying something different at least.
So I don't know the year, but I'm gonna guess mid to late 2000s. Frank Miller wrote the first all-star Batman and Robin, and it's the one where everyone freaked out because he said, "I'm the goddamn Batman."
Yeah.
And he essentially kidnaps Dick Grayson and throws him in the Batcave to see if he could survive. Very, very different take of Batman and Robin. It's the one where he and Robin kind of ambush Green Lantern in a yellow room, and Robin ends up choking I think breaking his throat, and Batman has to give him a tracheotomy. It's a very alternative Batman Robin origin story, but I really liked where it was going. It was one of those comic book series which, for better or worse, just stopped. It didn't end, it just stopped. And it stopped after we were introduced to that world's Joker. And that world's Joker looked very similar to the Jared Leto one, not quite so much tattooed, but he had a giant dragon tattoo over his back. He was with a hooker that he like kills. I think he strangles her or something. And then he kind of like looks out the window and has a wait till they get a load of me type of line. And that was it. He was never in. There was only a couple more issues after that. And I always wished that we got to see where that went because I liked this alternate universe where Superman was kind of like a too goody two shoes. Like he wasn't really realistic to what the situation of his world was.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman wanted to flat out kill Bruce Wayne because she thought he was a danger to the superhero community. Green Lantern was just like a happy-go-lucky kind of guy and not really thinking things through. And Batman was like a tactical genius who could not stand all these other idiots with all these powers. And I thought that was such a cool idea. And I liked Frank Miller's voice in the story. I really wanted to see where he was going to go with that Joker. And I think it would have been, to me, a more I don't want to say tastier, but a tastier version of that Jared Leto Joker.
I like in the Dark Knight Returns,
Mhm.
also Frank Miller. Like it was the first time we got like the buff Joker, where he's like super broad shouldered and stuff, and you're like, oh well, that's again, at least you're doing something different. It's
I
not my
like that. You think
favorite.
he was buff? You think he was muscular under there?
What you think it's just padding?
Yeah, I honestly like that's. I know we see him in a hospital gown, but I don't know if we see him that he's buff or not. And he doesn't do anything in the comic that shows he's got immense strength. I just took that as, first of all, it's how Frank Miller was drawing, but I just took it as that is a very 80s comic to me. And everyone had shoulder pads in the 80s. So I just thought he was wearing a very angular suit for that reason.
I mean, I'm throwing up this picture right now. I mean, he's got to have either full-on football player shoulder pads on, or he might be kind of buff. I don't know. I mean, it looks like
It's interesting that it's a cool that we have different ideas. I was saying I like the idea of it.
I think they're just trying to do like the Freddy versus Jason. They're trying to make him be formidable to Batman.
Sure.
At that time. And usually the Joker is not shown as strong at all. Like lately in the most recent in a Batman iteration, the Riddler has come out all jacked now. And
in the comics?
In the comics, yeah, there's a new Riddler design, and I immediately was like, he looks like the Punisher, but with Riddler. And I was like, again, the whole point of the Riddler is that he uses his mind because he can't use his strength because he's not.
I agree,
now that you've given him both, he's just another goon. Like you're missing the point, I think, at a certain thing. And when the Joker, how you use buff Joker is very important, because if he's just using his strength and he doesn't break you down mentally first, break you down with his crazy first, then I'm a little disappointed that you've just gooned him out and made him be a bulldozer as opposed to.
Well, because then he's not the Joker anymore, right? And
no,
he's any other guy.
He could have been Killer Croc. He could have been anybody.
Right.
You just put you put lipstick on a fish.
See, I was thinking about that too, because I started to reread. I couldn't get it done in time since yesterday. The Killing Joke, and that book is so great because it's about the Joker breaking or trying to break a couple different people down in a couple different ways. Once Batman grabs the Joker, the fight is over. Like, to me, I know that there's been different iterations that have said he's fantastic with a knife. I know there's been different iterations that said he's so fast that you don't expect him to move that fast. There's no way you can beat the Batman. Batman is Olympian level across the board. I can't buy that any iteration of the Joker is worth a physical fight. Killer Croc is big. Clayface can change his shape. Poison Ivy has poison. Joker has a lot of gags that he can use, and I'm okay with those gags. But pretty much once they're within touching distance, the fight physically is not usually that engaging or exciting to me. If you got a Batman Joker physical fight that lasts more than a couple panels, I don't really buy it all the same, and it's not as exciting to me as the Joker taunting him throughout the book, or even the old, like, Batman's in the Joker's hideout and the Joker has TVs all over the place and is talking to Batman through it. That is the fight to me. It's not the physical. I don't care how good Joker is with a gun or a knife or a poison or a this or that. Batman's got him in that arena.
It's not about the one-on-one physicality. It's about the one-on-one mental games, and that's the best part of it. And I mean, like I was way into Nightfall, Night's End, the Bane and the breaking in the back, and I love the Joker in that whole series. Like I read that every couple years, the whole big omnibus of Nightfall. I am I like Dark Knight Returns and stuff, but like Killing Joke is not my like. I think it's a really important seminal comic book. And I think the Joker's very interesting because he also wears different costumes, and he's it's one of the best versions of him. I don't like reading it though. That's a rough one.
Killing Joke?
Yeah, it's not fun to read.
Really?
It's look, it's like watching Schindler's List. Yes, it's important. Yes, it's well done. Yes, it's a great film, but like, when am I in the mood to be like, yeah, let's watch this horrible trauma inflicted upon this poor person?
Oh,
Like,
okay, fair. So you're saying, well, let me ask you instead of saying it. You're saying that because it's so raw and because it hits so hard, it's not as an enjoyable entertainment experience. It's not as enjoyable a read as a different comic.
Exactly, and especially when it's like, when he takes on Commissioner Gordon and sends him through the funhouse, is like, that's fucked, man. That's real. That's really messed up. I think they handle it really well. I think that comic book is done in a way that is like brilliant. It does deserve its notoriety and the prestige that it's received, but it also makes the Joker a rapist, which I don't love that for him.
I don't think he raped her. You think he raped her?
Yeah, dude.
Oh no, I don't think he did.
Dude, it's literally in every comic book with
Google it.
Yep, he did. No, dude, yeah. Like, yeah, that became her, like, that's the thing that they can't escape from Batgirl. Like, Batgirl's identity has become like what the Joker did to her, as opposed to like ever getting stories past that. It's always dealing with that. Because that's what he's showing the picture. That's the pictures that he's showing.
Yeah, I know he's got pictures of. I thought it was just that he shot her, paralyzed her, stripped her.
No,
I guess I didn't take it to that next level. Maybe it's because I read it so young when I first read it.
Right. Well,
and I just have it in that brain.
Yeah, it just creeps me out. I don't like that for him, because I think I would rather the Joker have any sort of scruples, but the fact that he doesn't makes him even scarier. So what?
We just ruined it. Well, I agree. Until I thought he was rapey, before I thought he was rapey, I was like, oh, that's the best, most creepy, most scary version of that character that I can think of, and that is my favorite Joker story. What would you put instead of it?
My favorite Joker story?
Yeah. Or iteration of the character.
I love the Brian Azzarello one. I really do.
Yeah?
I really do, because that to me was like, it's not the most complex, but it made, and again, he's a rapist in that one too. Pieces of shit, man. Boo. Does not condone. But I think that one has the most interesting version of him since the 80s. I mean, he's pretty classic in Nightfall. Like, he's classic clown Joker.
Yeah.
But
what's interesting in that whole series, if you think about it too, is because usually he is pitted as Batman's nemesis, right? He's usually Batman's yin to yang. And in Nightfall, Batman has bigger, more important fish to fry throughout, because Joker is not the head villain at any given point, right? Which is pretty interesting in and of itself, to take that rivalry and that trope and change it, right?
I mean, I really loved him in the video games. Arkham Asylum and Arkham City is a phenomenal outing for the Joker, because he's dying. He's got the disease, and he spreads it to Batman because he knows that Batman will help him no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I just thought that for a video game story that is also a Batman story, I really liked what it posed for the Joker, because he's like, I know Batman won't let me die, so he won't let himself die either. So I'm going to infect him with the same thing I have, and Batman's going to figure it out. And I was like, that's smart as hell. That's like diabolical too. Like, holy cow. That's always the thing about Joker, though. He's diabolical. Like, just comes up with something that's so deep, so dark. Did you ever watch the Gotham show?
I watched the first, at least a couple episodes, the first almost season or so. But then once little tiny Bruce Wayne was in it too much, I was like, get the fuck out of here. I definitely did not see the Joker in that.
He's not the Joker. They weren't allowed to call him the Joker, but it was a guy playing twins, and one of them is like white-faced, purple suit, and one of them is cut the face off Joker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's an interesting approach. But again, I never watched that show because I don't need to know what Batman was doing in grade school.
Correct. Well, the stupid thing is, and I hated this, in that series, in the first season, there was an episode where there was a serial killer that was handcuffing people to helium balloons, and they were just floating away. And then at some point, those balloons would pop, and those people fall to their deaths. You make a cop procedural show. What they should have made was Gotham Central. Ed Brubaker made a comic book series called Gotham Central, and it was a cop book that took place in Gotham City. And they did, even that did too much supervillains and too much Batman. But like, show me the serial killers that are doing shit like that, comic book shit, hooking up people to balloons that will fly away, pop, and then splatter them. Show me the cops chasing them in Gotham City. And you can have Batman on the news in the background, but don't show me the Joker. Don't show me Mr. Freeze. Don't show me Batman. Show me that. That would have been cool, but that's not what they did.
I always thought it was so gnarly when he'd spray people with the gas that made their like face like rictus smile, or they're like, and then like they die like that. That's
love that Joker.
Love that Joker. Again, man, that 80s movie hit it. I guess we
tried to poison an entire parade ceremony.
Yeah.
Right? Batman stopped him, but he was going to gas that entire parade and kill everybody that was there.
I think we have to talk about the big one. Heath Ledger. Let's go back before this movie comes out. When you hear Batman Begins is getting a sequel, it's going to have the Joker in it. It's going to be played by Heath Ledger. Up to this point, had played Pretty Boys.
Yep.
And
I was like, way to get the wives in the theaters. Come on, man.
We all reacted badly, and some of us learned our lessons.
We all owe Heath an apology.
We certainly did. Some of us learned our lessons. I will admit to knee-jerk casting reactions, but have learned my lesson to always let's see. Let's see what they do. I was not stoked about Ben Affleck playing Batman. Didn't love it, but dude pulled it off.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love it not because of what he did. I didn't love it because him in those movies just aren't very good. It's just like
sure, yeah. But it's not his fault. He did okay.
He did a good job. Batfleck is actually pretty dang solid. It's just unfortunate that in a pantheon of Batmans, you kind of just the last one to do it. And, all right, sure, you did it. Good job. But to see Heath Ledger, and then when he comes on screen that first time and does the magic trick, and you're like, holy shit, we're in a new world. From this point on, Joker on screen can't escape the shadow that this just cast. And when you've had Jack Nicholson do it incredibly, the cartoon version do it incredibly, to be able to do that is pretty insane. Now, my hot take is that I'm not as big a fan of The Dark Knight as I originally was, but that performance is one for the books and iconic and will always be. And the reason I'm not, it's because he becomes too much of Batman in The Dark Knight, and that movie in general becomes almost too Iron Man-y. Like when he starts using all the cell phones in the city.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Not into that. I don't need that.
agree.
I don't need that amount of rich boy technology going down. But holy cow, the Joker in this does not disappoint. And for the first time in almost any of these versions, he gives such a good psychology to why he's crazy, because the best villains have reasons they think they're right. And he's like, I'm living for the chaos. If I can throw a monkey wrench in your Cheerios, that's what I live for. And I was like, that's the best explanation for let's get crazy, folks, that I've ever seen.
I agree, and I feel like you probably could go back in the comics and find similar Jokers in the comics to that, but certainly it was the first time we'd seen it as a larger, wider audience, and definitely the first time we'd seen it on a screen, right? We also have a visually different take. Is he wearing makeup, or is his skin actually that color? He has scars that give him that face. So we don't have the old fall in Ace Chemicals, we fall in acid type thing. It's very, very interesting. It's a lot of times I like when they just do one villain and they put 2 or 3 villains in a movie. It gets a little bit dense. But you have him and Harvey Dent, and they're both very different villains with very different motivations. And then they have a scene where they directly talk to each other directly about motivations. And that's actually really interesting, and it's really well done. And like you said, Heath Ledger really is a good actor. And I don't know, I mean, I've seen, even recently, I've seen like supposed notebooks that he was keeping to help keep him in character and stuff. I don't know how much was him and how much was production stuff, but that certainly was a really good Batman, especially, like it or love it, the universe of the Nolan Bat movies. That certainly took place. That certainly worked in that realm. And I think that's important too, to think about what is a real life Bane like? What is a real life Joker like? What is a real life Ra's al Ghul? That I can see that as that. And I also feel like he did a really good job at the time of not over crazying him, of not over violenting him, because I can point to 100 Joker books now where it looks like they were like, I'm going to give him the biggest body count. I'm going to make him say the craziest shit. And you're like, okay, but that doesn't make him better because you made him more crazy. In Marvel's stable, Bullseye is one of my absolute favorite villains. There's not really much to him in a certain point of view, but part of it is that he's fucking crazy and he hates Daredevil and he will do what he can to get under his skin. But just killing everyone in the whole world doesn't make him an interesting villain.
No.
You know what I mean? Just saying I'm crazy, look how fucking crazy I am. That doesn't make you more interesting or engaging.
It's almost annoying.
It's getting to that point now with both.
Yes.
I specifically see with both Bullseye and with Joker. There's very much too much like, look how crazy I am, or look how graphic, look how violent I can be. I killed all these innocent people with absolutely no emotion, and I don't care. And you're like, okay, but I have seen that before, either in a Joker book or in a movie or in a something. So what is the draw here? It's not just killing innocent people. That's just making him crazier than I've seen him before.
He in Dark Knight Returns, when he kills all the Boy Scouts with the cotton candy, that always freaked me out as a kid. I was a Boy Scout at the time. But
oh yeah.
I mean, he's known for doing wild things, but it's what made the Dark Knight to me so interesting is the cunning that it took when he gets arrested and goes to the prison, and you know, and had this whole plan the whole time, and like that's part of what makes it work. It's not the spontaneity. It's the chaos that he has wrapped around an entire plan. Which,
yeah.
The illusion that it's completely random. The idea that you're like, well, I can't put my finger on it because he's so erratic. He's doing that to his favor in the best versions. Like, he knows what he's doing. I think he's more calculated than he's often given credit for. And when Batman suddenly is like, oh, I walked right into the trap because I got confused by the chaos. We live in a time where that's happening right now.
Mm.
And when we don't give the Jokers of the world the credit that they, whether they're good at it or not, have a plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it could be as simple as put the money in my pocket, but the chaos that's created is to make you feel something. It's to make you feel despair. It's to make you feel confused. It's to make you feel hopeless while they are doing whatever the bigger plan is. And, the Joker burning the money, it wasn't about the money. It was about messing you up, getting in
Right.
your
Yeah.
head,
Yeah.
getting under
Yeah.
your skin. That's the thing. And I think that's why the Joker is often used poorly in the weaker outings that he's had. But when he works, it's some of the best Batman we've ever seen.
See, and I was gonna say two honorable mentions for me for sure. Dark Knight Returns, because I love the idea that when Batman, as a superhero, as a fixture, took himself off the board, the Joker did the same thing because he was like, that was my goal, was to get under his skin and fuck with him and get him. If he's not here, the game isn't fun anymore. So he went to mental institution. And then Batman starts popping up again, and Joker looks up at the TV screen and says, "Darling." And then he's like, I got to get back in. This is Batman's swan song. He's going down at the end of this. I need to get in there and get my last shot before this ends. And I love that he is chilling in that one because he's going after it. He kills an entire crowd full of people. He goes to the amusement park and is killing, but all of that is an ends to a means just to get to the Batman. And his whole goal is to get Batman to kill him. I think that's just such a great Joker's last stand. That's how I would think the Joker would want to go out, right? If he could pick.
Well, it's always been sort of the, like you said, a yin to yang, but the antithesis of what Batman is. Batman's like, I will not kill. And Joker's like, I'm going to punish you for that.
Right,
I'm going to make you regret that. And that's why the Red Hood and Hush and the animated cartoon movie with Hush, Under the Hood.
Yeah.
When it turns out Robin's alive and he's like, you killed him when you had the chance and I would have been alive.
Right.
Like, yeah. I always, that is one of my favorite iterations as well. Like when you have Hush and you have Jason Todd coming back and literally being like, I'm not asking you to change your morals. I'm asking you to break your rule once to save somebody, to save all these people, all the people that he's killed that you've let him kill. It is a failure of Batman. Like I said,
sure.
the Joker is very good at making Batman look very stupid. That's
true.
Kind of why it's great. That's part of what makes it so good.
And think about, and again, to me, there's no other villain that has that on him that they can be like, because of who you are, because of what you stand for, because of the way you do you can't stop me. You know what I mean? Like, you literally can't stop me because the only thing that will stop me is you killing me. And you have sworn not to do that. So if I win, I win. If I lose and you kill me, that's the ultimate victory, right, for the Joker. That's the ultimate thing that he could get, which I think is, I don't know. He's so cool when you think about it that way.
How do you, like, where do you take, like, what can you possibly do at this point? Because
Joker in space.
Hell yeah, Joker. We've seen it so many times. Like I feel like he's run out of a lot of runway, and so they start doing these crazy gimmicks where it's like, his head's cut off, or we cut off his face and it's on other people now.
He's got a daughter.
Yeah, there's all sorts of weird gimmicks that they've started to do to just try and keep him more interesting. Let's see the prequel of where he came from. Like, again, I don't think that's interesting. Let's make him a time traveler. Like, what is it? Where do we take the Joker from here?
So here's my hot take, and this is coming from a special effects artist / kindergarten teacher who's not a writer of comic books at all. But it's the same idea as the Predator. Don't try to show me the new Predator that no one has ever shown me before. Take what makes the Predator the Predator, what makes the Joker. Show me an encounter that he and Batman had that nobody's told me about yet. That happened a while ago. Don't make it in the future. Don't make it in feudal Japan. Don't make it in mutant versions of either of them, which are all been done, which are fine. That's fine. But I'm saying, show me one Batman's case. Flip through Batman's case file and show me a situation where there was a string of robberies or a string of murders or just some cat and mouse going on. And it doesn't have to break the mold. It doesn't have to redefine anything. But make me think for a minute. Show me something that makes one of those characters think about something. You know what I mean? Where Batman triumphs and Joker's like, fuck, man, you put me in my place. Or Joker somehow triumphs and Batman either has to learn from that mistake or eat it for the rest of his life. And it doesn't have to be that he kills another Robin. It doesn't have to be that he knows his secret identity. Just show me a time that they went up for each other and Batman acted like Batman and Joker acted like Joker. And I think that's oversimplifying it, but also overcomplicating it, you know?
It runs the risk of getting boring because you have to pick which version of the Joker is going to tell that story, right?
Sure.
And that's always the tricky thing. Like, which version do you land on? And I will always come back to the Mark Hamill version as probably my favorite because he is scary. He is violent. He is absolutely crazy, but he kept in line with a cartoon that kids could watch in the 90s, and we still got all the gravitas that the Joker is. Have we ever seen one where Batman did kill the Joker and then, or like what he thought was the Joker, and then he's like, "Haha, you killed somebody else instead. Gotcha."
I can't tell you off the top of my head that I've seen that, but let me think. I mean, not specifically.
You're going to think about it right now. That could be interesting to actually see. I liked the Batman, the Matt Reeves Batman, that we got the Penguin out of, and I know that there was a deleted scene that had the Joker in it.
Yep, and I liked that. I actually thought that scene was good.
I did too. I really don't want to see the Joker in that world.
Totally agree. I'd rather have the Joker be a Hannibal Lecter in that world. That's way cooler and more interesting, right? We've never really seen that.
And there you go. Make me want to see more of the Joker instead of making me want to see less. And when you look at all the different outings that we've seen, and the more they do it, it's an oversaturation. Even if the Jared Leto one was better, like, you're getting to a point where you're like, is this where we're at? Is this right? Is this it? Are we jumping the shark? Is it nonstop Joker? You've run the character into the ground at a certain point, and it's impressive that we still get some pretty, like, even though I didn't love the Joaquin Phoenix movie because I don't care where the Joker came from, I don't need that. He did a great performance.
Absolutely.
And the fact that we're still getting interesting and different things out of this character tells me it's not dead. But like, yeah, let's put him on the shelf for a second and see what happens. Because back in the 70s, when you put him on the shelf for about 6 years, came back and we got Death in a Family and Killing Joke. So let's see what happens when we give him a little breathing room and see what happens when he comes back. Because again, the best Jokers also borrow from the headlines. And we live in a time where, God damn, everybody thinks they're fucking Joker. Thanks, Joaquin Phoenix movie. That was the other problem I had with it, is that Joaquin Phoenix was like, don't be this person. And everybody who saw that movie was like, fucking cool. Let's start a fight. Let's start a fight club. And you're like, no. You were missing the point of Fight Club. And like, no, we should go down the basement, punch each other. And you're like,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I don't want to insult anybody, but I feel like that's you're not seeing the bigger picture, right? If
right.
you're idolizing these people, that's it's literally trying to show you that as a tragic figure, and you're elevating them to a pedestal. You're like you're not understanding what I'm saying here, right? But I mean, to each their own.
Yep.
Um,
Because that's the thing. Like, I think the Jack Nicholson Joker's pretty cool, but the Mark Hamill Joker is a clown. He's not cool. He effectively does not make me want to emulate him.
mm,
Whereas I feel like people want to emulate the Jared Leto Joker or emulate the Heath Ledger Joker or emulate the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. Like, how many times at Comic-Con do we see Negans and Jokers? You know, it's like people
right,
want to
right.
emulate that. Um,
Well, I think that's a really good point too to bring up is I think the reason, whether it's the Joaquin Phoenix Joker or the Killing Joke Joker or whatever version, I think the reason that that character appeals to us as fans is the fuck you to societal norms that that character is no matter which iteration it is. And I think the same reason that the Cheshire Cat is cool, right? The
yeah,
same reason that Norman Bates, not that he's cool, but that we like those characters and the characters in Scream emulate all those killers and stuff is because they're like, I am not subscribing to the norm. I am not going by your rules. And I think that that is part of why people want to be the Joker because they want to be feared to the point of possible respect because you are stepping so far off of the line, whether willingly or because you don't know better because you're crazy. I think that people love the idea of having that sort of power, having that sort of fear, and ultimately that lack of responsibility where you don't have to follow the laws. You don't even have to worry about humanitarian ideals of not killing somebody. And I don't think that everybody wants to just be murderous, The Purge. But I think the same reason that we think the movie The Purge is fun is why we think the Joker is a cool character.
you just also really hit that point with what the Joaquin Phoenix Joker is. And he's like, I don't follow the rules. I go against the curve. And I inspire a bunch of people to do that. And they become insufferable cultists. And, you know, it's the I'm Slim Shady. Yes, I'm the real Shady. And he has all these clones and they're just insufferable. It's like when everybody, like, you're right. Everybody in our society, which is super individualistic, loves the idea of like breaking the norms and pissing off the Batmans, the authorities. Like, we as Americans and as a society love that idea. But what it does is spawns a bunch of fucking clowns. And it's like, everybody wishes they were a Joker, but they're just one of the people wearing a clown mask in the background.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of true. I think that's why, you know, I think when you think, I don't cosplay, right? But I think I get the idea and I think I can imagine it. Like, I would love to cosplay as the Predator because the Predator is badass and the Predator is cool. And everybody looks at the Predator and is like, wow, look at all that cool shit.
We've seen firsthand how sweaty you get. We had a panel where a real Predator, a guy in a bitchin' Predator costume, showed up. And literally at one point, like, he's sitting at the table and he puts his arm down and sweat just went spraying out of his sleeve. And it was like, oh, this guy is going to melt. Awesome, though. Big shout out.
Yeah, well, I'm looking. He's Bay Area Pred 408 on Instagram. Really cool
Yes.
stuff. His name is Wayne. He's a really nice guy, and he great for our panel at Los Angeles Comic Con last year.
Yeah.
But I think if you're cosplaying as the Joker, you're excited because you get to be what you want to be. You could say whatever you want. You could act crazy, and it's probably very different than what you really act like.
It's the
and
same
that's
as
cool.
Deadpool.
Yeah, same idea. Deadpool does it with more Deadpool is more cartoony, right? Because even though Deadpool probably has as high a body count as Joker, it's in a more fun, cartoony way, no matter
Yeah.
what iteration of either character you're talking about, right? Like Deadpool's no harm, more foul, no harm, no foul more than the Joker is like a murderer, right? Deadpool, even though he's an assassin, he's not necessarily. We don't think of him as a murderer, right?
Yeah. It's interesting. He's a very interesting character, and obviously has stood the test of time and his longevity. I don't think he's ever going away. But I think
Keep jibber jabbering. I'm gonna check some.
you're going to check something. I as he gets later, and we have him as a floating head in a jar, in his head's in a lantern, and Batman during the post-apocalypse or whatever. It gets to be stretching, but at least we're trying new things. Keep trying it. Keep getting new tattoos. Um, I am just stalling for time now, so we're going to talk about where the Joker came from a long time ago when the Joker was first created. He was in the first appearance of the actual Batman comic book, not Detective Comics, but in Batman, created by Bill Finger. Bob Kane and Jerry Robinson. Jerry Robinson drew a card, which we've seen many times in the comic book. It's a playing card of the Joker, cool image of Joker. And it is that image that Jerry Robinson drew, and then Bob Kane's appreciation for the movie The Man Who Laughs, which Conrad Veidt plays a character who you've all seen. It's a black and white image from a silent movie of a guy.
I was going to say, if you guys haven't
Joker.
seen that image, if you look at it, it looks just like the Joker.
Yeah, right. It's pretty amazing.
Just
but,
like him.
Jerry Robinson and Bill Finger are like, no, that's not what we did. And then Bob Kane's like, yeah, that is what we did. So it's, you never know. You never know who's right, who's wrong. Maybe it's lost to time, but I'm pulling up the image right now. There's the there we go. There's Conrad Veidt as Gwynplaine.
It looks
in The Man Who
just
Laughs,
like the Joker.
and then the Jerry Robinson card. What'd you find, Rumi? Did you find what you were looking for?
I did find something. I'll show that in a second. I do want to say one thing, though, that I love. And this is like, in my mind, you should not know what the Joker's doing. You shouldn't know if you're a fucking jewelry store owner or walking down the street and you get confronted by the Joker. You shouldn't know if he's going to put you on a giant roulette table or if he's just going to slice your throat. You shouldn't know if he's going to steal your wallet or if he's going to play a prank on you. One of the greatest Joker ones is the one where he turns all of the fish into Joker smile fish.
Yep.
And if you guys, some of you guys have seen those images, but if you don't know the comic, he did that because he was trying to get residuals and money for fish. He said, I'm copywriting and trademarking those fish because they have my smile. So every time someone has to buy a fish or fish in Gotham, I want a piece of it. And he was serious. That, to me, is the Joker. Now, also, when you tell him no, that's not how it works, he should stab you. But you shouldn't know what he's going to do next because you're like, wait, you're a mastermind and you just did this whole big plan where you got yourself thrown in prison and then this and that and anarchy. But now you're trying to copyright fish? When Batman's sitting with his cowl down in the back computer in the back cave, he's like, I'm taking all of this other information I have from all of my past encounters and I'm correlating it, and there is no trend. I cannot make sense of this data.
But the Joker's like, if I get a couple bucks off of Smiley Fish, great. But while Batman's trying to figure out the Smiley Fish mystery, what is going on right now?
Trying to figure it out.
Cricky crackling all over the place. So as the Batman's trying to figure out this fish thing, the Joker has a different plan going on. He's masterminding multiple things at once. It's like that, everybody's worried about the fish while he's breaking into some bank to, I don't know, steal shit, whatever he does.
So you like the idea that he's always in some sort of control and always has a plan?
Yeah, the chaos of I don't know what's going to happen is like, yeah, the outward plan of fish with smiles on is absolutely bonkers. But he just knows that either I'm going to make a couple of bucks or I'm going to confuse Batman so much that I'm going to be able to do whatever I want for a couple of weeks until he shuts down my fishery.
I see. See, I like the idea that he has as much faith and is all in on that fish plan as he is on the Dark Knight plan, where he's got anarchy and 6 levels, and I'm going to get arrested, and that's going to put me where I want to be. I want both plans. He has thought out the same and has the same mental and emotional faith in, where he's like, I should be paid for these fish, and I'm serious. Because to me, I think Batman is sitting there like, okay, I understand you're an anarchist. Okay, I understand you're fucking crazy. I understand you're out for revenge. Or I understand that you actually have there's no rhyme or reason to what you do. And I love the idea that every case Batman has is different than the last, or Batman has with the Joker is different from the last one. Because he can't figure out what's going to happen next. He can't figure out where the Joker lives. What can I do to stop you? What can I do to get in your head? And you can't. I like that.
Here's a good place to kind of end this up. A fun thought exercise. New Batman movie. They are going to do the Joker. Are there any actors that you were like, man, I would love to see them in some clown paint?
Yeah, you know what? It'll never happen. Jim Carrey. And now more than in the 90s. He did fantastic as the Riddler. There was no better choice, with the possible exception of Robin Williams at the time. And I think had he done Joker then, it would have been great. It would have been a Joel Schumacher Joker. But I think Jim Carrey now, if you've seen any of his horror or thriller type stuff where he's like a forlorn, sad, disgruntled police detective in a foreign country, if he could bring that sort of energy to the Joker, I think he would fucking nail it. And I didn't even think about this till now. I think he'd be better now. I think I'd like his Joker now more than I would like Jim Carrey in the 90s Joker.
I 100% agree. I think Jim Carrey is always plays that level of like bombastic excitement. He'd be a very interesting version of it, though. Way more into the clowny side of it. But
then I think now he'd be chilling.
You think so?
I saw a movie, I can't remember what it's called, but it has dark in the title, I think, where he's in Romania or something trying to solve a rape murder that involves like one of those sex clubs for rich people.
Ew.
And he looks like he's...
What? What movie is this?
Look it up.
Jim Carrey?
Yeah. And he's got a beard. He's got short hair. He looks like he's moments away from slitting his wrist every moment of this movie. And I want to see that guy in clown paint. And I think you want to see
Dr. Robotnik play the Joker?
No, because he doesn't play Dr. Robotnik in this. He is like break your soul down.
Crazy. Willem Dafoe is mine.
Oh, yeah. I think that would be a good one too. You're right.
I would absolutely love to see Willem Dafoe see what he would pull off. He plays, when he did Norman Osborn, I thought he played that character very interesting, very well, and I would love to see him do that. I also, here's my far out choice.
Okay.
John Leguizamo.
I'd go see it. I'd subscribe immediately.
Because to see him play clown in Spawn, completely different type of clown than Joker.
Sure.
Like a more pervert, gross one. But seeing that, I was like, I could see it.
So now, same thing that I just brought to Jim Carrey, John Leguizamo now, do you think he now could play the same Joker that he would have played in the 90s when he was doing Spawn?
It'd be hard to tell because I think John Leguizamo now is a much more hardened individual in the stuff I've seen him in recently. Like when he was in Violent Night, the one where he's fighting Santa.
Sure.
He was too old for this shit. That was like his shtick. He's like one last run, and he was tired of it. And it's like, it's interesting when Batman plays tired of it. I'm sure there's comic versions. It'd be very interesting to see a Joker version that he's just tired of it, where he's just like, man, I don't even have any chuckles left. It like the world is so messed up. Like my messed up jokes don't even stand out anymore. That's the play I would go for a John Leguizamo. I love him like when he's young, like when he was doing like when he was doing Spawn, like
The Pest.
The Pest, yeah, there's some Jokerness for you. But like now he's a world weary Joker, which would be interesting.
So look up Jim Carrey Dark Crimes. That's the name of that movie. That's the Joker I'd want to see. I'd even keep the same hairstyle and beard and stuff. Joker with a beard I always like. I only seen it a handful of times, but I like it.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Has there been a Joker with a beard?
In comic books.
Is it a green beard?
Yep. Every time I've seen it. Be cool if he had a red beard. You know when some people have a red beard for no reason?
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of like Jared Leto when he has a beard, or he's like in Arkham for a really long time.
Yeah.
And they like haul him out. Because I never really like what made the Joker's hair turn green. Is it because he dyed it? Is it the chemical explosion?
Right.
It just depends on what his origin story is. Don't tell me though. I want to guess. That is interesting.
Did you see the new Wolfman movie?
I did not. I heard it was terrible.
It was, but I would choose the lead male in that movie. He could be interesting. He's intrigued me as an actor lately.
Yeah, man.
I could see him doing it maybe. And I could see him doing a crazy, silly version. I could see him doing a chilling version. I could see him doing an anarchist version.
Yeah, Shogun, the ninja Joker, he had a little green mustache.
Yeah. He's asked.
It's terrible though. I did not that cool design, cool idea.
Great idea, but not an interesting movie. And I think they made a sequel.
No, they did. I
think
I want to see the Batman pirate one where he's like Bruce Wayne is. I love the Elseworlds when it was like Batman is a Frankenstein, Blood Rain where he's a vampire and fighting vampires. Like that stuff was always super cool to me.
In the pirate one, he faces the joke. Arr!
I love my alien, my xenomorph Joker.
I want that NECA Batman that comes in that set. Now I kill myself that I didn't buy that.
I have it right up here. He's cool.
No.
Yeah.
Can I give you to round out the episode? Can I give you my brush with greatness Joker story?
Yeah.
You've heard this before. Some of our listeners has, but like you said, good radio. I have the crux of it right here on my desk. My wife and I are driving my Aunt Roberta, my super cool Lego aunt, around Los Angeles, showing her the sights. She has a list of things she wants to do, touristy shit. She wants to go to Beverly Hills just to look at the mansions. So we go, and we're just driving around, and we see a sign that says real estate sale pointing down the street. We're like, should we go? So we go in this giant mansion. It's got cool shit, and everything is for sale. They have a stack of comic books. I'm looking through. They got the Dark Knight Returns hardcover. They had a Best Batman Stories hardcover. Nothing crazy, though, and it was priced high. So I'm looking around. They have a piano. On top of the piano is a clear acrylic box with a photo of Jack Nicholson inside. I go closer, and there's a smaller acrylic box in the acrylic box, and it has a foam latex nose appliance that was from the movie Hoffa. And they said it was used, but I could tell because I used to do this. I could see the edges. It was not used. It had never been glued down. But it was in this cool little acrylic box, in a bigger acrylic box that had a handle. So you can spin the nose inside the small acrylic box. And when the small acrylic box spun, on the back of it, Jack Nicholson had signed the nose. So I was like, there's a guy from the real estate sale. They had Sotheby's, I think it was. I was like, what is this? He's like, the owner knew Jack Nicholson, and he got this at an auction. They said it's used in the movie, and I knew it wasn't used in the movie because it wasn't painted or glued, but still pretty cool. And I was like, "What are you asking for it?" And he's like, "We're asking that 1,500, and it comes with this." And he puts down a freezer Ziploc bag filled with signed Jack Nicholson stuff. He goes, "Oh, also this, a jacket from the movie Hoffa, like a crew jacket, very nice bomber jacket." And tons of photos of Jack Nicholson. And inside the bag is a purple Joker glove. And I'm like, all of this is $1,500? He said, yeah. I said, okay, I'm really interested, but give me a second. I start calling and texting people that I know in the prop world. And I'm like, hey, do you want all of this shit for $1,500 except for the Joker glove? And I have a friend who's like, yeah, I'll take all of that for $1,500. She sent me later that night, so I was shitting a brick all night. But she sent me, yep, here's my PayPal, $1,500. I went in the next day, bought that whole thing, dropped it off at her house, and I kept a signed Jack Nicholson used in 1989 Batman Joker glove. And on it, it says, ha ha, ho ho, Uncle Joker, Jack Nicholson.
I didn't know you had this. I have never
Are you
heard
serious?
this story. This is blowing my mind right now. When did you get
I
this?
did. I was up all night doing research to make sure that this was authentic. And for sure, it is. The fact that it says Uncle Joker tickles me because he calls himself that in the movie. And now Kent and I identify certain Batman iterations. Like Batman 66 is silly Batman. So anytime we're talking about anything in that era, it's silly Batman. He calls this Uncle Joker. So when he talks about Batman 89, he talks about the one with Uncle Joker.
That's
So the
amazing.
story goes, and I researched the shit out of this. This is for sure the exact glove that he wore. The story goes that he liked these gloves so much. They were custom made for the film. He liked them so much that he contacted the company and had them make him some extra. The guy who was doing the estate sale, he had a kid in the same school as Jack Nicholson's kid. And the school was having some sort of fundraiser where all these rich, famous parents donated shit. And Jack Nicholson donated all this signed shit to the school's auction. And this guy who had this fancy mansion that I just happened to be in, he won that auction and at his estate sale ended up selling it. So I now have this Joker glove, which I got for $0. People, including this month, have offered me quite a lot for this glove. I can't let it go. And I maybe one day, but how effing cool is that?
That's incredible. And what year did you get this? Were we roomies?
No, because I was living here.
Okay.
I was
Wow.
definitely living here. I could tell you. Let me see. I'll tell you what
So,
year
do
it
you
was.
think this is a screen used one or one of the extra ones?
I wouldn't be surprised either way. They said it was screen used, and I can't determine how to corroborate that or not. I guess I could try to find someone involved with the production. I think I did that night. Let's see. I'm trying to find my pictures here.
I guess Robin Williams almost played the Joker, which is interesting. I'm kind of
He
glad
could
he
do
didn't.
it, but it would have been a
It would have been
different
different.
story, right?
It's also when Robin Williams plays Robin Williams, he's Robin Williams. Like you're like,
Right.
oh wow, look at him. I don't know if he could. I don't know. It'd be interesting. We never got to find out.
Yeah, I can't find the year. I'll keep looking, but yeah, it was after 2016. It was definitely after you and I were roomies because I was definitely with Amanda, and I definitely was here because I remember sitting up on the couch, screen grabbing all the images I could, and also did a shit ton of research to find the to find up as much about it as I could.
Dude, pulling
Crazy,
up
right?
this thing about Robin, it's insane. I'm
2018.
blown away.
It is.
Check this out, though. Looking up pictures of your glove, Robin Williams campaigned so hard for the Joker role and was offered it by the studio. He accepted it, but then the studio was like, we really want Jack Nicholson. because Jack Nicholson was a bigger star at the time. Jack Nicholson said no to the role. So when the producers went to him and said, well, Robin Williams is going to take it, he's like, I don't want that Joker doing it. So he took the role just to take it away from Robin Williams. And Robin Williams was super upset because he felt like he got bait and switch, was used as a bait and switch to get Nicholson. He demanded an apology from the studio. But here are some other choices. Brad Dourif was the first person that Tim Burton wanted to play Joker before the movie before the studio was like, oh, this is going to be a big picture. Chucky, the voice of Chucky almost was the Joker.
I could see that.
And Warner Brothers said, nah, he's not a big enough star for it. Ray Liotta was offered Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne and the Joker, but decided to do Goodfellas instead. Wow. Oh, Tim Curry, his name was in the hat at one point when it was going to be more of a cartoon and Tim Burton wasn't attached. John Lithgow and David Bowie were also in that.
I'd watch a John Lithgow name a supervillain. He would make a good Freeze, wouldn't he?
He'd make a great Freeze. When he was in Dexter, he was awesome as a creepy bad guy.
He's like the same age and the same. I could see him playing it, low key and chill, and not low key, but low key. Pretty cool, right?
Very cool. Well, this has been good, man. Guys, let us know what your favorite iteration of the Joker is. What's your favorite Joker comic? Look at that. Signed by Jack Nicholson. I cannot believe that. I did not know you had this glove.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right? One day I'll get it framed. And I have my man, Stefan Roux, comic book artist, gifted me a Batman Confidential cover that is the Joker holding up a peanut next to his eye. And it's a cover. It's an original art for, I think it's 21, Batman Confidential 21. But it's a gorgeous cover. And one day when I have my mansion, I want to frame that cover with this glove and one of those framed pictures all in the same thing. Wouldn't that be awesome?
But you need the glove inside a little glass cube inside of the shadow box with a thing,
so
and
you
then you turn it. So you spin it and it just slaps you. It's like, oh, ow.
No, what
ow,
I wanted,
ow,
what I
oh,
want to
ow.
do is I want to have it like sticking out of the wall, and then put like a little either diode in it or in the floor, so that when you grab it,
yeah, and then you smoke and get fried. I love that. Sidetrack, guys. Let us know what your favorite Joker iteration is. What's your favorite Joker comic book? What's your favorite actor who has played the Joker? Let us know on all our socials at Launchpad Pod and our website launchpadpod.com, and on YouTube, where you probably saw this if you were watching. Rumi, that's one last thing we have to do. Let's blast this thing off. I always have to check which side I'm on.
I know, yeah, same.
You're gonna blast me off with the glove?
Yeah, I'll do it with the Joker glove.
Okay, you ready? Wait,
yeah.
I'm gonna start sideways, right? We're the Rocketeers, and we're out.
Do your best Joker. Laugh.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.